time motion study on LimFox. And this was all centered around, okay, they're charging us quite a high price. LimFox is very, very expensive in terms of third parties. And they're expensive because they're the best, right? But the time motion study brought out that for instance, I watched them do a loading of a container. The labour is calculated on how many hours plus how many touches they're thinking. So, for instance, you might think a person can pick up 5 boxes at once and put it in a container. These guys were picking up 1 box at a time and putting it in a container, right? So your handling costs increase. The time and amount of time it takes to load a full container increases. So what else happens? Your cost increases. So part of that contract renewal is doing these time motion studies to say, hey, wait a minute, you're charging us for 3 hours per container with 2,500 touches of our product, because you can fit 2,500 cases, for instance, right? We can cut that by 2/3. Okay, we can cut it down to 1 hour of labour. We can cut it down to 600 touches, because you should be picking up 3 boxes at once. They're not heavy. Cereal is very light. You have 3 men working. You have 1 person on the forklift. You have 2 people in the container. These guys were using 5 people for each container. You're not only paying for the labour, but you're paying for the actual person. So every person has to get paid. Dorian's getting paid for teaching. I'm getting paid for being the inventory manager. These people loading containers are getting paid for loading containers. At the end of the day, their wages are being paid by the people that they're doing the job for. Okay? So ensuring that your plan is correct, ensuring that your processes are correct, one, not only saves you money, it saves you time, and you work more efficiently and you can get more done. So LimFox took this situation where they thought, we'll charge Kellogg's for each container, this amount, right? We can only do 5 containers a day because this is how long it's taking us. But they didn't think, oh, wait a minute, if we cut down our time, and we reduce the cost, there's more throughput and more benefit for them, because they can potentially, load 10 or 12 containers. And although the labour is at a less rate, they're actually increasing their business because their throughput is at a quicker rate, and their revenue overall is at a higher rate as well.
All right, quick comment on that. Why is it important for Kellogg's, but also LimFox, that they're able to get the stuff off the plant floor into the containers?
Lead time?
Lead time means they can get out to the customer and then the consumer quicker, yes. Think about also the warehouse and the space.
Oh, yeah, great.
Holding stock, guys, has a cost to it. You need, they pay rent for that space, guys, for the whole plant, and that stock being there is taking up space. So the longer it sits there, the more cost it accumulates. You want to get it out. So I love what Paul said. He used data. He used his own observation and time motion study, which they're timing what the people moving and doing their activity. Think back to classical scientific, that's what they used to do there. Monitoring the way people work and looking for time savings, cost savings, become more efficient. Back to the whole TQ and total quality management. Solely focused on improving every single thing we do. Now this is Paul Kellogg trying to improve the process of their supplier, of the company that they do the transport for them. Okay? So a lot of benefit.
You'll also get back to that continuous improvement piece. You'll get, for instance, we negotiated in this new contract renewal an area for continuous improvement. So our contracts with LimFox, you put in things into the contract that stipulates that you want cost savings, you want continuous improvement in time management, continuous improvement in throughput. all those kind of things. So whatever revenue you're gaining from these certain things in the contract, you're actually splitting half with them anyway. So they're gaining and you're gaining. And at the end of the day, that's how a contract works. Contracts, you have two parties, you're negotiating for the one thing. The end result isn't happiness, it's satisfaction. So you both have to be just satisfied because there are gains for both areas of the business. Okay?
Great. Are there any questions, guys, that you can think of? I might just ask one more for you, we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah.
Unless you want to keep going. Global factors, are there any influences there or anything that impacts? I know you mentioned about the plant in Thailand there were issues with quality. They had to go through training and development because they've never manufactured snacks before. We're getting your inputs or getting your materials from overseas.
Yeah.
Are there any?
That's a great question because I'm working on that right now.
There we go.
Kellogg's isn't traditionally an importer of product. We like to manufacture our product on site. Now, because the cost in Australia has increased so much, you see with cars, they're being manufactured offshore. You see cereals, they're being manufactured offshore. All that plays into fact. Now, I'm working on this issue with the Department of Agriculture at the moment, where, has anyone heard of AQUIS?
Yep.
So,
Quarantine.
AQUIS, they do quarantine checks on all your containers that come in. Kellogg's being a massive company, we have about 12 to 15 containers come in a day with our products. And when you think about it, if 8 of those containers get pulled for a quarantine check, you're copying container devanning charges like at the wharf. You're not able to get the stock out to customers as quickly. All those things take time because the quarantine guys only can do so much. They can't do 8 checks of containers a day, so they're doing one every day. That's 8 days, 8 days of containers. You think that's 8 days lost time that you can have to sell your product. Okay? So, what I'm working on with Department of Agriculture is making sure that our global policies and procedures in and around quality management are aligned with government standards. Now, that sounds quite complicated, and it is very complicated because the things that you need in place, you never went down that path before. I'm finding things that I've just done a major audit with the Department of Agriculture, and even Kellogg being a massive global company, we had 6 advisory findings where we failed. So until we get those advisory findings closed in the loop, then we can't move on to actually having these container inspections obsolete. So once we get the FECA approval or the Department of Agricultural approval, they will stop quarantining our containers.
All right, you guys understand what Kellogg's trying to do? They're trying to say, hey, government, hey, quarantine, we want to find a way that you can limit the amount of inspection you do on our containers. What do we need to do to not get us off your backs and trying to hide them? Because we want to usher the containers through quickly, get them from Port Botany, get them to our Botany facility and start making stuff or start getting out on the shelf to our customers. So then the government said, quarantine, let's examine what you're doing, let's have a look. All right, now we've got 5 or 6 findings.
5 or 6 advisory.
Yeah,
6 advisory.
6 advisory findings, 6 recommendations that you need to fix up before we're going to back off a little bit, okay, and let you get things in much quicker. Because they know Kellogg's aren't trying to hide anything, but they want to make sure that they're not bringing anything that's going to contaminate the environment or anything in here, okay?
And those, I was actually shocked because the 6 advisory findings, 4 of them related to having the right product specs and ingredients and global policies in and around the products that you're using in your cereals. Australia has become so allergen aware now that everything goes through those kind of things. So a lot of people have peanut allergies and mushroom allergies and things like that. Things that can kill any individual any day, right? So having those right global policies are so important. As well as that, having this quarantine approval to not be able to quarantine our containers, it actually is going to save us about $300,000 to $400,000 a year. Okay, because having these quarantine checks, although the AQUIS are the ones that want to check your containers, they pass on the charge to you. You have to pay for the labour of checking those containers. You have to pay for the divanning cost. You have to pay for all that stuff. And at the end of the day, you want to stop that because it's costing the business quite a lot.
Can we just think about that for a second? Bring it back to the syllabus. So the reason I ask is global factors at the bottom dot point. You mentioned there that because of rising labour costs in Australia, Kellogg's and many other companies around the world are going global and getting things, they're exploiting regulatory differences where labour is cheaper overseas, getting things made and imported into Australia. Okay? They're global sourcing. Okay? Sourcing inputs and products from overseas. Bring it to Australia. They then have developing a global policy in the way that they transport and the distribute and the logistics to ensure that they have safety, that they comply with the allergen practices, and more importantly to comply with government and legal regulations. Coming back, influences, strategies, global factors, all interlinked. Goes back to the quality, goes back to inspection, goes back to inventory. All right?
All good? Any more questions? Yeah.
Is there any like CSR things?
CSR, corporate social responsibility. You guys do anything like that? I'm pretty sure.
We do, but I'm not in and around that, to be honest. I couldn't give you a straight answer.
Yeah, that's good.
But there is definitely, and I can get some feedback for you. If I might pass it on to you.
Yeah, that'd be good. Last questions, guys. All right, my only negative is that the other 6 guys were here to see it because I think there was a fantastic value there. We've got some fantastic names of processes, of systems, of technology that we can use in our essays, business reports, and in our responses that are going to elevate us against the rest in the state when we go to our trials and our HSC exams. So boys, you've been really blessed. What I'm going to ask is in the last 15-20 minutes is that we all pair up with whoever's got access to the Google Doc, that we can, if there's anything you've written down that you can add it, and then we want to actually now put this into the syllabus wherever we can see where Paul's made mention of it, right? And if there's links into things, well, then we can just highlight that, right? Okay guys, put your hands down for Paulie. Yeah, that's good, fantastic. All right, I'll walk Paul out guys. What I need from you